The first thing we need to try out is reading a file. As we said, it's very similar to writing a file, but we're going to start from clean. We're going to start from scratch here and talk about just reading a file all on its own. So we're going to create a new project here. And so this is going to be our, we have a Java application, and this will be the reading demo. No space there. Reading demo. There you go. Excellent. And so for this, the first thing we need to figure out is how do I read a file in? So reading a file in, as I said, is important in the fact that it must exist. And so I need to start with a file that probably exists. So a file, f is equal to new file. All right, and then we control space this so I can add in by IO. Import up top. And so the file can be anything I want it to be named. Ideally, I don't use any sort of path inside of here. Why don't I use any sort of path here? Is because whatever path you put on your machine is not going to be on my machine when I go and grade it. So just give it a file name. We'll call it people.txt because I want to read it in a person object when it comes inside of there. So that file does not exist. Why? Because I just made it up. So what I need to do now is to create that file. So where does that file get created? It needs to be created in NetBeans in the base folder of the reading demo, whatever the project folder is created. And so the best way to do that is come to the Files tab like we saw last time. You see that file doesn't exist. I can say right click here, say New, and then I come down to Other inside of here. And then I come all the way down to Other here and just say I want to create a file. Empty file right here. I hit next. The file is going to be called people.txt. Right, it's not going in any special folder other than the base folder of the project. You can see reading demo / people.txt. And I say finish. And it opens up people.txt. So there is the start of my system. I could read this file now, but the problem is there's nothing inside of here. So what is it? Tony Lowe says hi. You do too. I like files. All right, so just put some random stuff inside of there. I have 3 lines inside of here just to get started with. So now that I have this, I can read said file. So I need something to read a file with, and if you remember the lecture at all, I use a file something class, control space, I hit control space twice. Oh, look at all those things that start with a file. File chooser, file channel, file. Let's read a file. Oh, look at that, a file reader. That's exactly what I want, right? Get a new file reader, and I can pass in my file F inside of there, and I'm good to go. Well, I thought I was good to go. Then it turned red. Well, if I hit Alt-Enter, it tells me, oh yeah, I've got to deal with an exception. Specifically, a file not found exception. That's when I read a file in. When I open up a file with a file reader, if the file doesn't exist, I'm going to get a file not found exception. So I'm going to add that one inside of there, and it makes me happy. All right, so now for that file, I want to use my reader dot, and then it automatically popped up for me. If it doesn't automatically pop up, you can hit Control Space, and it'll do that to you. And I can get a read character. So read character. Well, I want to read a line of this stuff, so I guess I'll just do a read, I guess. I can just do read, and let's just see what it does real quick. We'll just try it out. Again, part of learning to code is to play. Ooh, another red line. What's that one all about? Let's see. IO exception. Oh, an IO exception. Oh, yeah, because I'm reading in for the file. What if the file can't be read? We'll put an IO exception throw out there. Let's run this one more time. 84. Wait a minute. So I went to people. I read the first one. It read in 84. I don't see 84 here. Well, if you know, the letter T is the 84th representation in the ASCII or the ANSI character set there. Again, this reads one character at a time. I don't want to read one character at a time. I want to read a whole line at a time. So I need to take my basic characters and I need to buffer them up. So I need a buffer inside there, buffered reader. There you go, a file IO, Java IO buffered reader. And this is a B reader inside of here. Equals new buffered reader. And for this, I can go through and use the reader I already got from the file reader. So that looks like a breader, but that's all right. So now, using my B reader, my breader object, dot, you can see I come down, I can say there's still a read, but now there's a read line character instead of here. So I say system.out.print line read line right there. So let's try it out with this. 2 more lines of code there, and there you go. Tony Lowe says hi. Success. I have read the first line of my file, but my file has more than one line. So what do? Well, let's take it and put it in a string. So instead of reading the line and printing it out immediately, let's go and put it into a variable on its own. I can print that out, but I know that if that line is null, then I am done. Right? So if I write this code and I run this code, then I'm sorry, if it's not equal to null. If it's not equal to null, then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry. So if it's null, I'm done. So yeah. So Tony Lowe says hi, and boom, there it goes. So I read the line, but wait a minute. No, not if. I want to loop, right? Yeah, that's right. Not if, I want to loop. So while the line's not equal to null. So I'm going to keep reading the line, right? Yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah, I'll keep reading the file. Oh, wait a minute. Now it's going crazy. It's still, gosh, it keeps saying, oh, wait a minute. So I better stop the program. Run, stop the program. Okay, yeah. So what's happening now is I'm reading a line, and while it's not equal to null, I'm going to print it out, but I never read the next line back in. That's why it keeps printing the same line over and over again, because I never update the line. The line never gets changed. So I can go and then read the line again. So now I read the line. If it's not null, because it could be an empty file, the first line could be null, then I'm going to print out that line, and then I'm going to get the next line. It's going to keep doing that till the file is over with. So let's try it again and see what we got. Hey, excellent. There you go. Got 1, 2, 3 lines read in. I can add however many lines I want to. I like big files, and I cannot lie. And so I come back and I run it, and again, it reads in all the lines, however many lines there are. So that while loop is the key to getting that done. All right, so do this. Try this. Read a little bit of a file. It's pretty straightforward here, right? We have, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines of code maybe, including some curly brackets and spaces. So reading a file is pretty straightforward. Now, we haven't done anything interesting with this data. That's where it gets a little bit more complicated. But before you get into that, just make sure you can get this logic down. I mean, even as I was just messing around here, you could see you got to remember the loop. You got to remember where it's placed inside the loop. You got to remember to read the line again. You don't want to have to do all of this separate from having to deal with the data inside of here. Just read one line at a time. Good enough task for now. And then we'll come back and process the data on that line. Right now we have garbage data in the file. We'll put some interesting data in the file and then process it out. Okay, so go back, give this a shot, and let me know how it goes.